Hey guys, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to look at a Leetcode problem, and the problem's name is time needed to buy tickets. So there are n people in a line queuing to buy tickets, where 0th person is in the front of the queue and n-1 person is at the back of the line. We are given an integer array called tickets, which is of the length n, where each element in the tickets array given to us is the number of tickets that the ith person would like to buy. Each person takes exactly 1 second to buy a ticket. A person can only buy one ticket at a time and has to go back to the end of the line in order to buy more tickets. And if he has more tickets to buy, he has to go at the end of the queue. All of this process takes 1 second and you go on to the next person. If a person does not have any tickets left to buy, the person will leave that line, and our task is to return the time taken for the person at the kth position. So you're also given an integer k to finish buying tickets. So you have to calculate how much time this kth person will take to finish buying all the tickets. So let's take this example and see how we can solve this question. So let's take the first example. We are given the tickets array 232 and k value is 2. So we have to check for this person how much time will it take to buy 2 tickets. And this is a queue, right? So we need to implement this using a queue. Let me create a queue here. So I've taken a queue. We start with the first person. So we begin with this person. So instead of adding these people into the queue, we add this person's index. So we need to iterate through the array and see how many index positions are there. In this, the size of the array is 3 and we start from the 0th index. So add this index, next add this index, next add this index. So this queue represents the persons which we need to process, and now we have their index positions, that is the person ID. Let's call them the person ID. And now we have to return the time taken by this second person, right? So let me create a variable. I'm going to call the seconds, which is initially 0. Now we start with the first element until this queue is empty. We add all the elements into the queue, and until this queue is empty, we keep processing them. So initially we start by adding the second because we are first processing the first element. So check this element's index. The value is 2 at this index, and this person has to buy one ticket at a time, right? And he has to buy one ticket. So we subtract it by 1, and now his current value is 1, so I'll update it to 1. And we finish processing this person. So check if this is the k value we have to search. No. So this person goes back and we add him back into the queue. So now this is person 1, 2, and this is 0. And now we go to the next iteration. We have to process this element because we are accessing person 1. Now we increment the seconds again. So this value is 3, we subtract it by 1, 2, so update it to 2, and we finish processing this person, so this person goes back into the queue. So now the line is 2, 0 and 1, and now we have to process person 2, his value is 2. Now increment the count of seconds. 2 minus 1 is 1, so update this value to 1, and this person goes back into the queue. So now the queue size is 0, 1 and 2. Now again the person 0 comes in the beginning. Take his value is 1, so 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, so update his value to 0. We finish processing this person, right? So he goes back and we increment his count by 1. So now the queue is 1, 2 and 0. Now we have to process this person 1, his value is 2. 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, so update its value to 1. And now we add that second and we go back, and now the value is 2, 0 and 1. And now we have to process person 2. His value is 1, so 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, and we have to update that value to 0. And as soon as this person 2, because we have to check for this person because k is 2, as soon as this value becomes 2, we have to return whatever is the value because we process 6 seconds. So the seconds value is 6, so 6 will be returned as the output, which is the expected output here. So here, as you can see, you have to implement a queue, and in this queue you are adding the person ID, that is the index position, and then checking what is the value of that, and if that person is the value k, you break and return whatever is the seconds value. If that person is not equal to k and his value becomes 0, so you just keep on moving forward by skipping the current iteration. So now let's take a look at the Java program. Coming to the function given to us, this is the function name. We are given the integer array called tickets, and we are also given an integer k, and the return type is an integer representing the time taken for the kth person to buy tickets. So as discussed, we have to implement a queue. So I'm using a queue which will store integers, and this queue will be implemented as a linked list. Now let's iterate through the input tickets given to us using a for loop. So we start with the 0th index, so I will start from 0 and it will go until the end of the array. So tickets.length. So queue.add And into this queue, we are going to add the index position. So we are going to add I representing the index position of that person. I will start from 0 until how many tickets are there, that is n. Now let's create our output variable. We need to return an integer variable called time. So I'm going to create a variable called time, which is initially 0. Or you can also call this seconds, because we have to calculate the number of seconds and each process is going to take 1 second at a time. Now we are going to iterate until this queue is empty. So until this queue is empty, we keep on iterating. Now once we process elements inside a queue, we begin by incrementing the number of seconds. So seconds plus plus. Now we have to take one person from this queue starting from the beginning. So you can use the poll method. So int person is equal to queue.poll. Queue will contain the index position and we start with the 0th index. So person 0, we need to check how many tickets that person 0 is having. So we use a if statement and check if tickets of this person, so tickets array, and access the index position. If this person has greater than or equal to 1 ticket, decrement that ticket size. So decrement the number of tickets by 1. So we copy that and decrement it by 1. Now we have to compare this person with the k. So if that is the person we are searching for, if person is equal to k, and if that person has bought all the tickets, so tickets of person, his value should be 0. So tickets of person is equal to 0. If this condition is satisfying, it means we met the condition and we can end the iteration. So we break from the loop. And now let's copy this again. If that person is not equal to k, and if that person's ticket count is equal to 0, then we just continue. That is, we are going to skip the current iteration. And now before starting the next iteration, we have to add that person back into the queue that is in the end. So queue.add will add that person back in the end. So add that index position back into the queue. Now this process will happen until the queue is empty, and if this condition has satisfied, we break from the loop immediately, and whatever this seconds value is being calculated, that will be returned as output. So return seconds as the output. And now let's try to run the code. The test cases are being accepted. Let's submit the code, and our solution is accepted. So the time complexity of this approach is big O of n, where n is the length of the tickets array, and the space complexity is big O of n because we're using a queue to solve this question. That's it guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.